Well, the U.S. Open is starting to feel like an episode as the world turns just the golf edition. Jon Rahm looking to defend his title against a field that happens to have Phil Mickelson, lefty back after deciding to take his talents to live along with others. Meanwhile, it's Brooks Koepka, feeling like he's got his swagger back, a former champion in this tournament. Then there's Rory McIlroy, hoping to carry that momentum from Canada all the way to Boston. So taking a look at some of those early tee times we got for tomorrow morning. At 7:18, bright and early, Colin Morikawa, James Piot along with Jon Rahm at 7:18, as I mentioned. Then 11 minutes later, you got Jordan Spieth, Adam Scott. And then at T13 at Southern Hills with Max Homa. And 7:40, you got Rory, of course, looking to keep the trend rolling. Hideki Matsuyama along with Xander Schauffele on that back nine, teeing off at 10. All right, to get us going here, Kyle Porter checking in, and we want to break down maybe this little drama that we're going to see here at the U.S. Open with the best 5 groupings, starting with here Matt Fitzpatrick, Dustin Johnson, and then also Webb Simpson. That's our number 5. Your thoughts on that group?
Yeah, it's an interesting group. I mean, you got Matt Fitzpatrick, who won the U.S. Amateur here back in 2013, and then obviously Webb and DJ have won U.S. Opens in the past. Webb back in 2011, and Dustin Johnson at Oakmont in 2016 in that kind of historical U.S. Open there. So this one's intriguing. I think the obvious sort of headliner is DJ being one of the primary live golfers, going the kind of the first guy really that jumped over to the Live Golf League. So I don't know if he'll be heckled for that. I don't know how that'll go, but this one is intriguing. I don't really see a potential U.S. Open champion this year anyway coming out of this group, Brandon. I think if we want to look at that, we'll have to look at some of these other groups that we're going to take a look at. All
right, let's move down the list here. Our 4th best here, Justin Thomas and Victor Hovland, Tony Finau, look both pairing well up at what we saw in Canada. Your thoughts on this group?
Yeah, Justin Thomas obviously playing some of the best golf of his life. We actually saw him at the Red Sox game last night. Him and Smiley Kaufman were dabbing on the green monster. So that was perhaps a precursor to what he's going to do on Sunday afternoon at Brookline at the Country Club. You know, for JT, he's obviously coming off PGA Championship win. The thing for me, Brandon, his putter's been hot. I mean, it's been really, really good. He's gained strokes putting in 5 of his last 6 tournaments. That was the thing that was kind of holding him back a little bit. In terms of Hovland and Finau, I think either one of them could win this tournament. I worry about Hovland. His short game is just not it's not very tidy right now. It's not very good. He's never had a great short game, and it's gotten, I think, a little bit worse so far in 2022. And then Finau, you see his best U.S. Open finish there was 5th back in 2018 at Shinnecock when he kind of came from behind on Saturday to play in the final pairing there with Daniel Berger. So he's had a great couple of weeks. He played really well at the Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial, played great at the Canadian Open. For him, it'll come down to, you know, is he keeping the ball in play off the tee? He's so long. This is not a super long course, so can he kind of rein that in a little bit and give himself good looks into these tiny greens?
All right, they're teeing off at 114. That group there, our 3rd best, maybe Colin Morikawa, James Piot, the 2021 amateur champion, and Jon Rahm, of course, trying to defend that title here at Brookline. Your thoughts on this group?
Yeah, you know, I think these are James Piot is the U.S. Amateur champion, so he gets paired with the reigning U.S. Open champion. He doesn't really have a chance to win this golf tournament, I don't think, but the guys that he's paired with do. You know, Morikawa and Rahm, I think they're both strangely coming in under the radar, maybe because they haven't really been caught up in all this live golf stuff, Brandon. But, I mean, Morikawa is one of the 2 or 3 best iron players in the world, and this is going to be a place where your irons have to be almost perfect to win this golf tournament. So I think his odds, 25-1, that's a pretty good number for somebody who's a top 8 golfer in the world and who has 2 major championships in his first 11 starts. So I'm interested in him. Rahm, again, it's hard for a U.S. Open champion for a reigning U.S. Open champion to come in under the radar, but if you can do it, he is. And I think he's actually been kind of quietly playing pretty well. He's having an historically great driving season. For him, it'll come down to iron play. His iron play's been not as good as it usually is for him, but if it's great this week, then he'll have a chance to go back-to-back. He would be just the 4th guy to go back-to-back since World War II.
Speaking of number 2 and back-to-backs, Rory looking to do that after we saw up there in Canada, of course, teamed it up with Hideki Matsuyama, Xander Schauffele. This group might be interesting based on what we saw from Rory last week, though.
Yeah, you know, I'll address Schauffele first. You know, he has 5 straight top 10s at the U.S. Open. He's never finished outside the top 10 at the U.S. Open. He's only played in 5 U.S. Opens. So he's really kind of a great guy here for if you're looking at a top 10 or a top 20 lock. Hideki's a great iron player, but then, you know, the main event is Rory, and I think that Rory's playing the best golf that he's played since, I would say, 2019, and maybe leading into kind of when golf shut down for the COVID-19 pandemic. He's playing just tremendously, and I think one thing that gets a little bit underrated when it comes to Rory is his short game's been great. He's been really good around the greens. 7 is one of his best putting years ever, and you know, for him, like last week, it'll come down to I hate to keep harping on it, but it's all about iron play. He hit 7 approach shots on Sunday, Brandon, when he won the Canadian Open, inside of 5 feet. You and I can make 3 and 4 footers, maybe not on U.S. Open greens, but on the greens that we play on, we can make 3 and 4 footers. And so when you're hitting shots that close, from 100 yards, from 125 yards, you're going to score. And so I think for Rory, who's generationally great with the driver, can he hit those approach shots inside of not even 5 feet, but 10 feet, 15 feet, and just be disciplined with his iron play to give himself a ton of looks at birdie and par. And if he does, I think he could win his 5th major championship this Sunday.
The favorite heading into this week's championship there. We'll see how that pans out there. And here's our best group here for you. We can break all 3 of these down. Brooks Koepka, look, the conversation, he's had it. We know how he is when it comes to majors. Cameron Smith, he's been in the conversation. You see it there. His best finish at T4 in 2015. And Scottie Scheffler, we talked about it this week. 4 starts, or in the 7 starts, 4 wins so far, looking to get back to what we've seen early on. Your thoughts on this group going off at 125 on Thursday?
Well, it's a super intriguing group because you got a bunch of different styles of play here. You know, Koepka, in his last 4 U.S. Opens, he's only lost to 4 guys, which is extraordinary. I mean, he's been unbelievable at U.S. Opens. He lost to 3 guys last year. He lost to Gary Woodland in 2019, and then he won the previous 2 U.S. Opens. So even though he hadn't been playing great, you know, even last year I was looking at Brandon, he had 3 missed cuts and 4 starts leading into that U.S. Open, and he nearly won it. So I just don't get real wrapped up in what his current form is, especially when he arrives at a U.S. Open. Cam Smith, man, he's got that left miss off the tee, which worries me. This is a place where if you get in trouble off the tee, it's going to be extraordinarily difficult to score. There's a lot of native grass. There's a lot of heather. It looks, when people watch on TV this weekend, it's going to look a little bit like an Open Championship, like a British Open, where you've got some taller grasses. And if Cam Smith is in those taller grasses, or anybody's in them, it's going to be a lot of trouble. And then Scottie Scheffler, I mean, people talk about him dropping off from where he was in February, March, and April. Yeah, of course. He was winning every time he played. How could he not drop off? He's still finishing inside the top 15, top 20, lost a playoff at the Charles Schwab Challenge. So I think if you can win 4 times and win the Masters and still fly in under the radar this week, I think he's kind of doing it. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if he joined Jordan Spieth, Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, and Ben Hogan as the only guys since World War II to win the Masters and the U.S. Open in the same year.
I think a lot of guys will take the 4-7 drop-off, as we're saying it here on this tour so far, based on the success that Scottie Scheffler has had. As always, my friend, appreciate it. Kyle Porter tapping in. Don't forget the First Cup podcast. Rick Gaiman and Jonathan Coachman, of course, previewing this week in Boston, the U.S. Open. All eyes there, the Live Golf Shadow over Brookline. Also, the best bets and expert picks. Just dial in and download and follow.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.